Hello, Lori here, and are you ready to go on a little visual journey of my organizational structure? I have been asked many times about how I organize all of my digital content outside of the program, so I don't make content and dot packets. I work with Windows folders, and you've caught glimpses of that in other videos. I've gone through and done some reorganization for beginning now in January. I did it the last few days of 2015, so I'm going to show you that. And what we're looking at right now is one of the FiddleDeeDee Designs templates. This is Got a Lotta 2 dressed up. And so I have this one up because I may pull some content in, so I just wanted to have it ready. You can see that I've already got some pictures pulled in. Organizationally, what I've been doing right now, trying to really make sure that my 2015 is caught up and hopefully gets done pretty soon, is I've gone through my folders of photos and I've pulled them in on certain templates and gotten the photos all ready to go. So then once I have my photos set, I can go through and get pages done pretty quickly. And because I'm also participating in the January month of challenges on the Lilypad, if I pre-set up some of these and then I find that there's a certain challenge that will fit well with one of these layouts, I don't have to think so much about which photos I'm going to use or even which templates that I need to use. I can just pull the content over and start working. So here we go with how my content looks. This is the main working folder that I have. You've seen it before in my other videos. And there's my external hard drive, Lori's Digi, and that's on L. And that external hard drive I can move from computer to computer. I have Artisan on 3 different computers, so I can do that if I choose to. I've even plugged it into my daughter's computer because she has Artisan and can work from the same DigiKits there. All my templates sit in a different folder for the most part, with some exceptions. So if I go all the way back to L, there is a folder here for templates, and in there are some of the older templates, and there is a very lot of .page files in there. But since I like to try to work from current templates that I have, and especially from current kits, which you'll see how I'm doing that in just a moment, I am putting the more current templates in a separate folder. So the beginning of January, well, actually 2 or 3 days ago, so preparing for January, I changed my organizational structure that you've seen before just a little bit. And what I've done is I decided to assign numbers to a couple of them that I definitely want to pop up to the top. And then I do have a few others that I put dashes beside. I only need 1 dash. That I've put dashes beside so that they'll come up ahead of all these different stores or designers. So I want my eye to catch on those pretty quickly, so that's why I've stuck them this way. So let's talk about the new from April for a moment. So this is April 2015, and I didn't make any new folders after that. Everything went in here. And I've been working over the last few days to clean this out and make choices about where some of the things that I've bought in the last 8 months or so, where I want it to go. So as I cleaned it out, I put it in a certain place based on my thought process. There's still a few things here that I need to sort through, and so I didn't want to move everything right off, but my templates are still, for the most part, sitting here. So these are all the templates that I've gotten since April. Now, don't judge, but if I type in star.page, and let it think for a moment, we can see since April I have 2,765 .page files. Yes, I am Lori and I am addicted. So I can easily do a search this way and look through and see exactly which template I might want to use for something, and then I can also pull it into the program very quickly. So I can look at 2,765 templates based on usually the name of the designer and then the template name so the sets all stay together. And I have a lot of miscellaneous ones in here, but I can look at those very quickly. So I have not yet sorted those out to get them into a different place, but once I do, they will either go into that other templates folder, or there are some special ones that will go into the new folder. So let's talk about this new folder a little bit. There's not much in it yet. I hope not, because it's only the second day of the year, but there are a few specific things, and I really thought long and hard about each one before I put it in here. So first, let me talk about how I organize a folder. Digilicious is one of the creative teams that I belong to. I'm a page converter for her, and I can also work with her kits in return for making layouts for her. So when you see Digilicious, and I'm not sure if I spelled that right, but when you see that, you'll know that I made that, from one of her kits that I just love. And right now I've only got a few of her kits, her very newest kits that I really want to work with in here, because the rest of them I put into the older folder. Now the older folder still exists. It's right there. I can go get it if I want it, and goodness knows I go back to older kits many, many times and work with those. But this just helps point me towards some of the newer ones that I might not have used yet. And I really try hard when I buy kits or when I get kits to use them before too long. So this helps me out a lot. So if I go into one of these, I usually will only have one subfolder within it. I bring all of my elements and all of my papers and all of my journal cards if they exist, all of my word art, anything, if there's a flares folder, whatever the 15 little folders might be that that exist, I bring those all in, and then I just have an alphas folder. So let me just show you if I go here, the Lilypad. So at the Lilypad, since I'm becoming very active over there, and like I said, I'm doing a lot of the challenges, and that's where FiddleDeeDee is now, and etc. for Danielle, and Scrapping with Liz, a lot of those designers that I just love. What I did is I made a folder for the Lilypad, and this would look basically the same for any Digi store out there. And within this folder, I have different designers and or different kits. So let me take you into etc. by Danielle in her folder. So I've got her as a designer with her own folder because I have a lot of her kits. And with her kits, I start out with her name. And while I don't have exactly the same naming convention, I haven't finished them all. I try to do the same way so that they all fall into alphabetical order. How often do I go to a store, especially if a designer changes stores, and I go into a store and I see a kit and I really love it and I want to buy it, and I buy it, and maybe the store doesn't tell me that I already bought it, or maybe they're at a different store now. Well, I want to be able to find if I already have that kit very easily, and alphabetically is one good way to do it. Now, there is another great way to do it, and that's using the search feature. So in the program, if I were to load up packets under content, I would have to go in and tag, and I would have to go in and decide if I was going to categorize all of the pieces to make them easily searchable. I can tell you, the only tagging of any sort I have done here is certain kits that have a basic theme. So Baby It's Cold Outside is a winter kit. I put the dash and then the word winter at the end. This one, Winter Traditions, well, it's a Christmas kit. So I put the word Christmas in there. And on Climbing Trees, Falling Leaves, I could put the word fall because I use fall as a tag also, but look at this, it has the word fall right there, so I don't need to do that. Love is one of my other tags. This one already has love in it. Game. So there are certain things. Now, haunted hall, I know that one is Halloween. So Halloween is one of the words that I use quite often. So I'm just going to add it right there. That's my tagging. That's it. So how does this work? Let's go back out for a moment. I'm not in the Etc. by Danielle folder. I am in the whole Lilypad folder. Say I want to find a Halloween kit, and I don't know where to look. I know it's somewhere in that folder that there must be something for Halloween. I've typed in Halloween, there's my kit. It's simply that easy. I've got an entire kit. Now, people ask me also, so do I always scrap from just one kit? I will say that my scrapping became much, much faster when I started scrapping from basically one kit. And I won't say always one kit, but basically one kit. And it might be basically two kits. I might have two kits that really go together well. Or maybe there's a fall one and a Halloween one by the same designer, and they coordinate really nicely, and I want to use both of them. So fine, I'll open up both of those folders and I work from both of them. And it just makes it so easy to do that. But let's go back for just a moment. And so I'm not going to have a search. I'm going to switch from view again to list because I want to have a list going here. And you can see that the search results are still active and it's still looking for, even though there's nothing that's typed in there right now. So what I'm going to do is just work back in to my DigiKits, new from January, the Lilypad for challenges, just to neaten that up a little bit so that it's easier to see. So sometimes when I type in search, if I forget to X that search back out, it just gets a little bit messier looking. Okay, so say I'm working in a kit. So I've decided I'm going to work in this Etc. by Danielle, and I'm working along in a kit. Let's open this one, the upside of down. Now, I want to just mention there are two folders, subfolders in this one. And the reason is this is alphas, all of this different alpha, and this one, alpha numbers, is a little bit different, and so I just decided to keep those separate. So I could have put them together, but in this case I kept those separate. So in here, and I don't know whether there's a staple in here or not, but a lot of times I want to use some sort of a fastener, and many times I will choose to use a staple. So if I can't find a staple, or I'm looking for a staple, if I can type it correctly, so there is no staple in there. So I'm going to make sure to X that back out. Puts me right back where I was. Well, does Etc. by Danielle, the whole thing, any of her kits that I have here, have a staple? So I will type in staple and see. Yes, she has a few staples, and I can go look and see what they look like and make a decision. Now here's the other great thing. I like to credit. I like to make sure that I list my credits over here as I'm working from a kit. So I could do something as simple as this. Designer name, there's her kit name, cottage number 9, because so many of the designers do this now. I come over here and I can paste. And just like that, I have credited where that staple came from. Now, I will say that if I only use a staple or, one other kind of nondescript piece from a different kit, I don't bother to credit that. But if I were to say, well, I wonder what else is in Cottage 09 that I might want to use, I could open the file location and go right to it, and now I'm looking at the entire kit, because if I end up choosing anything else and pulling over a few more things, then yes, I definitely want to make sure I credit the designer for this. So it's really important to credit, because a lot of people, if you're posting your pages, a lot of people want to know what kit you used. What kit did you get this really cool leaf from, or a certain word art? And if you at least credit with those kits and designers, I can't tell you how often I've seen, oh, this is a designer I don't recognize, but I really like that kit. I'll go to Facebook, I'll search for that designer's page. Once I get there, I'll click on the designer's store, and then I'll go in and I'll shop like crazy. So the designers really, really like it. You don't have to post links to their stores. I only post links if it's a designer that I'm on their creative team. But for every page that I do, whether I know that designer, maybe I've only got one kit from that designer at all, I'm still going to credit it, because I don't want to not allow somebody to go in and find it on their own if they want to. So let's go back to the Lilypad for challenges for just a moment. You can see that I also have this folder here that might be a little confusing. BYOC, Build Your Own Collab, is what that stands for. And every month at the Lilypad, they're doing this Build Your Own Collab. And so this one is for January. And the cool thing with the BYOC is all of the kits work well together. So since when I scrapped, I like having all the stuff. I want to make sure that I have as much cool stuff as possible to put on my layout. And oftentimes I end up using too much because of that. But let's look at what I've got. So for this one from Just Jamie, there's only the elements. I left the EP at the end because I wanted to know there are no papers in here. This is a kit without papers. But you know what? That's okay, because when I go back here, I've got papers here, and they're great papers from Sarah Gleason, and I've got papers here from Bella Gypsy. So I mixed and matched. I built my own collaboration working with those. Now, when I'm scrapping, what I'm going to do when I scrap is first of all, I'm going to go over to photos, and I'm going to say photos not used, and I always try to keep this area cleaned out so that I'm only working with things there for that page. So now if I go back over, I need the JPEGs. So I'm not going to open each one of those folders and look through. I'm going to take a tag that is naturally on there that I didn't have to go through and do myself. All the papers and the previews will be JPEGs. So then I can just grab all of these things and pull them over and plop them into my photos not used. And now as I scroll through, I've got all my papers to work with. It's so quick and it's so easy to do it this way, and it's one of the reasons that I can scrap as many pages as I do. Okay, so I've worked with my papers, I've got them over there. Now, the other things that I will be working with are my ping files. So my ping files are going to be all of the elements and all of the alphas. So if there happens to be an alpha in there, it is going to kind of be in my way as I scroll through. But with what I bought for the BYOC, I didn't need any more alphas, so I didn't buy any, so there aren't any alphas in this particular one. But there are all my pings. It doesn't matter which of these they came from, because if I decide to use something, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say it's the Just Jamie Awkward, and I'm going to go over here, paste it in, and I want to make sure that I remember exactly who, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in there. So this way I can just keep building as I'm going along. Oops, opened the wrong folder, sorry about that. So that's how I work. Another comment, just another comment about my organizational structure. What I might do, and I haven't decided yet because I do kind of like keeping some of them in their folders, but what I might do is I might take all of the papers and all of the elements and just put them into this, because I know that each one of the designers has their information on it. So no tag, and I can see exactly what I need to there to credit. Another comment is, remember when I wanted to just do a search for a staple? Well, the same thing. If I don't want to see all those elements, but I want to see what there are for flowers, flowers are, for the most part, labeled. Not all of the flowers will be labeled, but this gives me a little look at them. But I can type in any word that I want, and so many of these things are labeled in some way. Maybe I want a frame, so I could type in the word frame. Maybe I want arrows, now that's a good one. Arrows, I use arrows a lot. And I love being able to find arrows without having to tag each one of these myself. So since it's done for me by the designers, at least by all the designers currently, a lot of my old kits might not have that, but any of the new things that I buy, I know that they're pretty darn good at tagging them already for me and saving me a lot of work. So that's really about it. Let me just go back out one more time so that you can see. Right now, this is the way it sits with my DigiKits, with everything in there. And then if I just go in, and I did make a few other categories: cool things, cool alphas, cool kits to use ASAP. Now this one, I took anything from April, and I also, as I was going through and organizing, I would stumble upon some kits in other folders that I thought, you know what, I can't believe I haven't used that yet. That's one of my favorite kits. How come I have not used that? And I put it in there. And that's kind of my tag to use it. I don't know if you've noticed, I've used For the Love of Peace 2 or 3 times recently. So I'm probably about ready to move it out and put it where it belongs. It will go into the digital press folder and get out of the way. But this really helps direct me. And I know where these designers live, where they sell. And if by chance I don't, with Scrap Orchard closing, Red Ivy is no longer there. So if I'm not sure where Red Ivy is to go put her where she would go, I can just go back to DigiKits, and I could type in Red Ivy, and I could see where I have the rest of her kits right now. And I've got a lot of stuff in here, so it's going to take a while to scroll through to see that. But once it does, I can pull up and find the location, and I know that right now all of her things are still living in the Scrap Orchard folder, but I could always go to Facebook and see where she moved to. But that's just to give you some ideas of where things are. I'm going to go ahead and close out of there and leave you with one final thought. Just because I organize this way and I work out of the Windows folder this way doesn't mean it's the right way or the only way or the way you should do it. My hope is that everyone will find their own way to get their memories on paper and printed and into the hands of their loved ones. That's always been my goal with making layouts, and I always want to help people work toward that goal. So if this helps you, then great. And if it doesn't, ignore it. And besides that, I just want you to be scrapping and making pages and seeing all the smiles of those that love you. Have a wonderful, happy new year, and hopefully this helps.